The Ringers' Nora Princiotti and Nathan Hubbard are on a journey breaking down every single Taylor Swift album. For all you Swifties out there, this is the podcast for you. From her most famous moments to her most obscure references, every single album, Taylor Swift has it all. Check it out on the Ringer Dish feed, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements. So many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. Welcome to Bachelor Party. I'm Juliet Litman. We made it. This season is over. I'm here to discuss it with my compatriot, Van Lathan. Hey, buddy.
What's up? How are you?
You know, I got my second vax shot yesterday, so I'm really sorry this podcast is late. It was worst case scenario, but when you get the vax, you can't control the timing, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. So how do you feel? Do you feel protected? Do you feel like there's a suit of armor over the world?
I do. I feel lucky to have gotten the vax. I had an underlying condition that allowed me to get it so early. Right. And yeah, I feel lucky, but let's move on. It's not about me. Let's talk about this finale. We'll get into the actual episode itself, but we just got to start with After the Final Rose. Van, on Higher Learning, a few weeks ago, you said you demanded to be on a podcast to discuss America's reaction to this show. And we'll discuss America's reaction, but what is Van's reaction to this hour hosted by Emmanuel Acho?
It's some of the most grueling television that you can watch this side of Saving Private Ryan.
At least, and that's got like, you know, a lot of really hot actors in it.
Right. You know what I mean? You remember watching Vin Diesel in Saving Private Ryan where he gets popped by the sniper? And he's trying to give the letter to Giovanni Ribisi and Adam Goldberg and all the rest of the guys. And you're like, Jesus Christ, like, this is brutal to watch.
Yeah.
That's kind of what watching After the Final Rose felt like. What a bloodletting.
Oh, my God. So apparently it was 3 hours long and we only got an hour. But apparently that went on for much longer.
Lord. God bless the children.
Which would you rather see the unedited cut of? Oprah interviewing Meghan and Harry or Emmanuel Acho talking to Rachael Kirkconnell and Matt James?
Okay, so it's Oprah, and the only reason why is because I feel like Oprah would have kept the conversation going. Last night I tried to actually take a shot every time Matt did a dramatic pause.
So you were wasted?
Yeah, I didn't want to look at me now. I got alcohol poisoning. So I feel like it would have flowed a little bit more with Oprah, but that was a tough watch. That was hard. That was real emotion on the screen.
Yeah. So did you think that was a productive use of an hour for America?
No.
Why not?
I thought it was everything that, to be honest with you, and I'm being serious now, I thought it was everything that was wrong with everything that was going on.
Okay.
It seemed, even though somewhere I'm pretty sure there are real emotions behind everything that's going on, it seemed staged, it seemed contrived, it seemed like everybody involved was saving face. That goes for the network, that goes for Matt James, that goes for, Rachel to a degree. She stood up there to be pummeled. Mm-hmm. I mean, the reality is that it it still seems like we're reckoning with being brave enough to actually face these things like human beings face them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt would have taken probably a lot of heat if he'd have been like, and I'd have made jokes too if he'd have stayed with Rachel. But the reality is that, human beings do get past things.
Sure.
Like they do get through things. They do get over things. Not everything is you did, so I can't. And
right.
It seems like rather than just have the conversation about what everybody is really thinking, the platitudes seem to always win, and they won last night when I was watching that show.
So she said, there's like so much here. Let's start with what Matt said as why they're no longer together, because he seemed like a broken man. He just seemed so sad and pained. And it's very hard for me to not like just read into so much symbolism into this whole thing. But like, obviously his beard is just like a manifestation of like Matt just sort of like, I can't deal, so I'm just going to let my hair grow out.
Yeah. Matt Rick Ross. I called him Matt Ross. He had the Rick Ross beard to protect his jawline. He didn't want people to see he didn't want people to, it was very protective. It seemed like he was actually wearing that armor right there. He didn't want people to see the emotion, and it looked weird. It's not a good beard. I gotta be honest with you. It doesn't. It was flying out of his face rather than sitting on his face. It's weird.
It looked like a James Harden beard. Isn't that what James Harden has?
A little different. So James Harden's beard, it comes out, but it
goes down
a little bit more aerodynamically. Matt's beard was jumping out of his face.
Straight out. Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Oh God, there's just so much here. So let's start with why they're not together. Matt said essentially that Rachel needs to learn and go through a process of reconciliation. And I think he said that emotional weight is just not something that he can take on. What was your reaction to his explanation?
I could see that.
I agree. I was like, yeah, he's been through a lot.
Yeah, like I could see that. Like that's not something that he wants to continue to deal with. And let's be honest, he hasn't known her for that long.
No.
So why enter into something that's going to be detrimental to your emotional state for somebody that you barely know, unless if we're being honest, he doesn't really know her that well. So I get it, but it also cuts against the premise of the entire show. Really last
what do you mean by that?
Because you're supposed to believe that after X amount of time, and he didn't propose to her in the final episode, but you're supposed to believe that after X amount of time, people are ready to spend their lives together. But you're also supposed to come away believing that out of X amount of time, people can't work through problems together, which is what being married or being in a relationship is all about. Now, that's not to say that if you start dating somebody for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, you really like them, you think it's going somewhere, then you find all of these weird pictures and checkered past type of stuff that you wouldn't break up with them, but you also wouldn't be ready to marry them. So it's kind of like in a situation with The Bachelor, this is the most real it's ever been. Either you're ready to accept somebody. She said on the last episode, I will choose you every day for the rest of... They always
say that. They're always like, I choose you today. And it's like, okay, we all read this romance novel or saw this movie. We get it. You choose them every day.
Okay, now, when you start saying stuff like that, when those are the emotional stakes, that means,
you better do it. Choose them every day.
Yeah, and vice versa. So it was interesting to see some reality injected into the reality show.
Sure. Yeah. And I love a reality show reunion because people are kind of like, they usually film it X number of months after most of principal photography, if that term is used in reality TV, is done. And so they come back with sort of like either grievances to air or feuds that are still simmering. And so I typically love a finale. Like Andy Cohen hosts these, or not a finale, reunions. Andy Cohen hosts reunions for the Housewives, and they're awesome. They're like better than the show themselves. And like you watch the show for the reunion. This one though has such a like strict premise that you either like, it's only like two outcomes, right? Like you're either like happy together or you're not happy, even if like you're still together. And I think that that constricts what can happen in this forum, which is like turns it into a bit of a farce anyway. I think what was so bizarre about this, but I also found like kind of compelling, is that Emmanuel Acho has like stepped in as sort of like, they've shattered this fourth wall. They're like, here's an outsider. He started off being like, this is because I'm here. It's the most dramatic finale of all time. And that's correct. And it's sort of like they're trying to have both of like this like process, starting a televised process of reconciliation while also trying to be like, Matt and Rachel, where does your love story stand? And it's like confusing, right?
Yeah, it's very confusing because once again, they're talking at you and not really talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that they're doing shows you that things aren't right in Bachelor world, right? It's like WandaVision. It's like we're watching it and we know that there are glitches, but they're acting like everything's okay, you know? But for me, I like those reunion shows too, because the reunion shows are realer than the actual shows.
Yeah.
And the fact that this one was realer than the actual show just showed you what a precarious position Bachelor Nation is right now. It was no fun to watch. It was dour. It was sour. It had none of the pomp and circumstance. And I just imagined everybody at home, that could not have been what they wanted on the screen last night. I'm sure the fans of The Bachelor, the same ones that have been tearing me a new one, I'm sure they are seething. I'm sure people are seething. They just want their show back.
Because it's too heavy, or because like they were talking about race, which, I mean, race, I think these conversations are heavy, but like, is there even a way to separate those, I guess, is a question.
No, I mean, look, one way would have been to actually confront the issue and not.
What do you mean by that?
So last night they made it seem like all of this stuff is just Matt and Rachel's problem. And it's the stuff that they had to work out. Well, obviously that's not true, right? Because Emmanuel Acho is there, because this is literally all they talked about. They didn't really talk about too much about Matt and Rachel's relationship or any of that stuff like that. Like it obviously that's not true. So really, the real way to have done that would be to have scrapped, in my opinion, would be to have scrapped the after the final rose sort of format. Scrap that. And instead of after the final rose, this is going to sound crazy and stupid, but this is how Van's wacky brain works. Have Chris, Rachel, Matt, Rachel Lindsay, everybody there, Taylor, everyone that's been caught up in all of this stuff. Everybody on there and just talk about it. Just
like everyone just goes at it. I don't think that's crazy. I think Taylor is separate from this personally, but we can come back to that.
Right. Well, she just she got caught into the whole milieu of it. So she's a part of the I ran afoul of people, and you know, obviously in much more aggressive and disgusting ways, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, but Taylor's old tweets are so offensive to so many different groups. It's like pan hatred, essentially.
Right.
I don't even know how else to put it, but like that is made worse by her being so aggressive and how she's been and in her response. I mean, what she has said is like absolutely horrible, but in many ways Taylor's kind of like doing her own thing. She's got a podcast. Taylor's like not in my world. Like I'm like I was like, this is gross and horrible, but like she's not someone we talk about because she's not really in my Bachelor sphere personally.
Okay,
like, I don't listen to her pod.
Fair enough. So, but everyone who then is caught up in the eye of the hurricane here, just discuss it. If not for the whole show, then just for a little while, instead of hiding it and pretending like we're talking about what it is we're talking about. First of all, we all knew for a long time that Matt was going to pick Rachel. That was the worst kept secret in the world. So we all knew that they weren't together anymore. You know, and so all of this stuff was just like watching a car wreck, you know, is going to happen 5 minutes in the future.
Right.
That really makes you crazy when you slow down to watch the car wreck that hasn't even happened yet. And then when you get there, you're like, oh, here are the people with broken bones. Let's check them out. But to me, there's another way to view that. You can actually get out and start helping the people and calling someone and be a part of the process of healing. And it just doesn't seem like they want to do that. It seems like everybody's covering their asses.
Yeah, the show, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, I felt so sad for Matt, but I was just sort of like, I don't even know where he stands on this. Like, I maybe he did explain it, but it seems like, there's such a big emphasis on Matt's body language. His brother is talking about it. We'll come back to his brother. I know that you're a fan of John the Scorpio.
John the Scorpio.
But he was commenting on Matt's body language, and I thought there was a couple of moments that I was just like, this is so uncomfortable. Rachel grabs his hand, and she's trying to like be like intimate, and like it's like she like read a book on like just touch his hand and it will form connection. And it's like come clueless or something.
Right.
I actually remember when I was younger, someone was like asking me if I indicated my interest in this guy, but they're like, "Did you touch his arm?" And I was like, I don't know. Anyway, it's just like a thing, right? So she does that. And then he starts explaining why he can't be with her. And it's like, and he basically says, it's because I had to explain to you why your social media is problematic. And he like pulls his hand back in that moment. And I was like, that does speak volumes. He's sort of like, I cannot be physically engaged with this person, so I cannot be emotionally engaged with this person either. We cannot, we can't date. I thought that was like kind of fascinating. I just felt like the transformation of Matt from like happy-go-lucky ATV guy on his date with Bree to this like really like this guy is like speaking in a very delicate way, like taking all these pauses to like process what he's thinking in real time, was just like so jarring and really sad. Did you feel it? Did you feel like this was just exploitation beyond the pale? Like, what was your reaction to how they kind of positioned Matt as this sort of as telling the story?
I think he was a little in over his head, and not to diss him, but he just was a little in over his head.
We're super pro Matt here. He seems like a nice guy who's trying to like work through all of it.
Yeah, right. It's like when you're giving an interview after the game, you caught a couple of touchdowns, and they say, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, I was just out there. My teammates were blocking for me. They were blocking."
Yeah.
Okay? And then so because my teammates were blocking, that allowed me to get one-on-one with the linebackers. And when I get one-on-one with the linebacker, it's trouble for the linebacker, Okay, but what did you see on this play? I saw my teammates were blocking for me, right? And since they were blocking, that allowed me to get one-on-one with the line. And you start to go, hey, this guy doesn't have another pitch. This is his. Yeah. This is his thing.
His one play.
This is his one play. And so with Matt, it doesn't even, this whole thing might be a pitch he doesn't have in his repertoire. These might be things that Matt is reconciling for the first time in his life. He's been around a lot of people, and maybe he hasn't had to come to terms with some of the ways that they acted or some of the things that they did, or maybe he was able to come to terms with the things that those people were doing in a much more personal and private way that didn't have to play out in front of everybody on television. So not everything he said had to be the right thing to say. Not everything he did had to be the right thing to do, you know? And so in this situation, I saw him more than anything not speaking confidently, like searching, scanning his brain for the right way to look, seem, act, behave. And like anytime you watch somebody do that, it's uncomfortable to watch, because what you're saying in your setting is you're like, look, I'm glad I'm not him, Yeah. And like pulling back from her is like, look, I don't want anyone to think that I'm in any way associated with anything that she's about right now. So if she tries to, on a human level, you have to show that. So I have to have a visceral reaction to her touching me, which is to say, no, you're a leper. It's just weird. And it's sad for everyone. I felt bad for her, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I don't know what we do with her. I don't know what we do with a lot of these people, because I have, she has tried to make it clear that she is doing the work, as they say. Doing the work has now like become a cliche, right? It's like can't even.
Yeah.
It's like can't
what
even
is
use
the
it.
Work? What is it?
Yeah. And it's like, I guess like for her, it was like preparing to meet Emmanuel Acho by reading his book and like Instagramming about it. I don't know. I don't know what work she's doing. Actually, what did you think about that response when he asked her, like, what have you been doing to learn? And she's like, I won't list it. What did you think about that? Like, would it have been better if she'd been like, this is what I'm reading and this is who I'm studying?
I got to be honest with you. It's just not that much work to do. Like, we were all acting like it's so weird. And this is part of what with not having these conversations as people kind of makes us do. We acting like there's some Blackology book that you can read.
Yeah, it's called White Fragility. It was #1 on Amazon.
Yeah, go listen.
I'm joking.
Listen, I know, I get it. Read all of them. Read Caste. Read How to Be an Anti-Racist. There's nothing that you can read to make you more human.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that can make you more human is other humans.
Right.
Like, you can understand things, right? If she wants to understand why all of those parties and things like that affect and hurt people so much, then yeah. But she's not going to be able to understand anything about me or anything about Matt or anything about Rachel Lindsay or anything about anybody else by doing anything other than connecting with them.
Right.
And being a part of the social experiment that is America, which is supposed to elevate everyone's sense of freedom and agency, right? And you have to be a part of that. You have to be an active part of that. Or you can just go live your life. And so you can say, hey, I made a mistake. That's the frustrating thing. The frustrating thing is, if I'm working with somebody, like if and those pictures pop up from that party, I go, yo, you know why this is all fucked up? And after you say, yeah, man, I really didn't know. That's like not a thing. Quick story. Seth Roller. I don't know if I've ever told you the story before.
I don't think you have.
A guy that went to my school back in the day. Good kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had a Confederate flag sticker on the back of his truck, right?
Okay.
And I had been knowing Seth for a long time. For a long time, I had been knowing Seth. So I see it. I didn't realize it was there. Like, but I saw it on the back of his truck, and I'm like, yo, man. And I look at when we're 15, 16 at the time, I'm like, yo, man, what's this? Like, what you trying to say? And he was like, yeah, man, Southern pride. Like, we're Southern men and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, Seth, this is what this means to me. Blah, 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 blah. I don't go over there, kick him in his nuts, punch his face loose, and say, yo, take this over, or call him a bunch of names. I remember I just talked to him about this, right? I told him about it very directly, told him what that meant to me and what he was saying to me in a very, very direct and emotional way. Didn't make it simple for him. I didn't make it easy for him. When I was leaving, I looked over, and Seth, who I had known since the 6th grade, was scratching the sticker off the back of his car. And the next day, we're at baseball practice, and he goes, hey, bro, like, man, I'm sorry, man. Like, did he have to go around and talk to everybody and make a big show about it?
No.
2 people discussing. So I don't know what she has to do, but it wasn't after the final rose.
Yeah. It was tough. I think that just her immaturity and ignorance was so much on display last night. And in a lot of ways, just like, I know she's not conscious of. Like, there was this one moment where John the Scorpio is asking her about how Matt makes her feel. And she's like, it's so overwhelming. When I'm around him, like, I just can't. She said, when I'm around him, I can't breathe. Like, just kind of like that, all of this stuff where I'm just
Jerry
sort
Maguire.
of like, yeah. And I also, again, I don't want to like read too much into it, but the I can't breathe things just sort of popped out to me. I was watching with subtitles on my second rewatch, and I was just like, it's just it's just like her sort of using that phrase to discuss how she feels about this guy she met 2 months ago, when that is now a phrase associated with police brutality, is just speaks to her ignorance, right? And like, she has no idea. And I might be assigning too much meaning to that, but it was like poignant to me. It like really stood out that that's like a phrase that she used. And I was just like, this person doesn't know anything. Like, she just is ignorant. And I think that to your point, people and the show reinforced this last night, like, suggest there's like a playbook to like getting over racism, where it's like obviously daily and just like part of like living life, of having new people and new experiences in it. And
I'm doing the work is the new I'm going to rehab. It is.
It's true.
Because back in the day when Mel Gibson lost his fucking mind and said some of the illest shit that any human being has ever said, do you know what he told people? It's like, I'm an alcoholic, I'm going to rehab. I'm like, what the fuck does that got to do with anything?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's what people say now. I'm sorry, I cut you off. You going to say something?
No. I agree with you. And I think someone like Mel Gibson, similar to Chris Harrison, and obviously what Chris Harrison said was not as openly hateful in any way.
Right.
And that's who Mel Gibson is. That's why, like, I don't care if you go to rehab. And I hope that you do change. But like Mel Gibson, I believe that's who you are. And I think that you probably were drunk and lost your filter when you were driving and spoke to this policewoman in an incredibly disgusting manner.
Well, he doubled down. Mel Gibson had sequels. He had that one.
He fucking made Passion of the Christ, dude. Like,
yeah. So Mel Gibson Mel Gibson was like, look, man, he just had a whole, I'm going to be honest with you. Mel Gibson had a racism run, like the Warriors, and like the 2000s. Because he had several different iterations. It was him when he was just by himself. He was Steph Curry. He was doing it all on his own. Then
this is mean to Steph Curry. Come on, take his name out of it.
Right. I'm just saying. But and then he clicked up. He brought the people on. He had a team with Passion of the Christ where he just made my Jewish brothers and sisters look terrible. And then after that, he went and brought a free agent signing into it, black people. Yeah. We weren't even involved in the anti-Semitism. But then he went and signed black people in and brought us in when he was talking to Oksana. It was crazy. But then he said, look, I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to rehab. Now I'm going to rehab I'm going to do the work.
Yeah.
This ethereal black education dimension that exists somewhere out there in cyberspace.
Yeah, it's basically just a cop out now, and it's just such a stupid thing to say. I thought, Emmanuel Acho and Matt were talking one-on-one at one point, and Emmanuel Acho was saying, like, I am aware that, like, by being on TV, I might be the only black man that some people come into contact with each day.
Hate that stupid shit. Hate it. No.
Why?
Hell no. Look, bruh, stop that shit. Like, I hated that. Like, Matt's like, yo, I gotta do this. I know I might be the only black person. Stop fucking saying that. It's not 1955, man. There's no, no. Hell no. The president was black for 8 years.
I know. People erase Barack Obama from a lot of the discourse. It's super weird.
Like, what's going on? No, there's not. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to act like I'm the only black. You don't owe that to anybody. First of all, you never did. You just don't owe that to nobody. Stop that. God damn it. That pissed me off. Like, stop saying that. Stop acting like you have to be an avatar for an entire group of people who may not think like you.
Yeah, it's not a monolith.
Yeah. What are you doing? Like, go out and be you and stop. That's the kind of thing that makes us look. That was that part was actually offensive to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't do that. Like, I realize that I might be the only black person. No, you don't have to realize nothing. You're an American. You were born here. You have the same rights and privileges that everybody else has. And it's about making other people recognize that, not acting like you have to be some sort of specific example to anything. That was weird. Yeah.
Right. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see them coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code Visible24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need. Have coverage options to protect the things you value most. File a claim right on the State Farm mobile app and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I also think that like this, it gets back to a problem with this season, which is we know so little about Matt, and Emmanuel Acho just sort of like parachuted in, and he doesn't have like a history with the show where they say things that feel like really big admissions or like really big statements, but because you don't know anything about them, you don't really know how to like process it. You don't really know like what is Emmanuel Acho's life like? What is Matt's life like where he might feel that way? He like Matt like alluded to the South and growing up there and like how this whole experience has like brought things back for him, but I don't really know what that means. And I think to your point about not wanting to like assume everyone's the same, I don't want to assume Matt's experience is the same as anyone else's.
I grew up in Baton Rouge. It means nothing. That like well, I'm not gonna say what it means for him, but what like I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the deep South. The hey, it's Saturday, let's go to an antebellum home South. Like that's the South I grew up with. In the real South. And they're black people, they're white people. There's, if anything, an uneasy truce and all this unreconciled history. And the reason why it's unreconciled is because we refuse to talk about it.
Yeah. I think, Van, I know you personally, so I also can say that I know that you are willing to have like legitimately tough conversations. You'll talk about any of this with anyone, don't you think? I don't want to tell you who you are. That's one of the reasons I like having you on this podcast. You'll talk about anything.
I enjoy uncomfortable conversations. Yeah.
I do too. I really do too. Right. I don't mind a little conflict. I'm just like, let's talk about it and work through it.
Let's get it out.
I do like it, in fact. But I think that it's sort of like easy to say with this season, and I want to talk about the actual episode in a second, but sort of easy to say with this season that like the outside mess overtook the show. But I don't think the outside mess could have overtaken the show if the show was better. But like this is an all-time bad season of The Bachelor. You haven't watched The Bachelor before, so you don't know that. But this is an all-time bad season of The Bachelor. We spent 5 weeks on Mean Girls, and then we spent like 5 weeks on how is it possible that Matt has any relationships? Who are these people? Right. And it being like very clear that there's like all these great personalities that we're not learning about, possibly including Matt. I have no idea. And so like it was so weird watching Matt's family talk to these two women because it's just like the most basic conversation. There was so little as interesting about it. Michelle is like lovely and like adored by fans, so I think she'll be a good bachelorette. But I was just like, okay, it's week 11 and we're finally seeing her personality. It took after the final rose for us to get like a non-blooper reel of her roasting Matt. She clearly likes to roast people. Like, show more of that. That's entertaining. But like this was an all-time bad season. I can't even like point to any highs. I feel like any minute from the Claire and Tayshia season was better than any minute from Matt's season. More entertaining. Yeah,
it was hard for me. And Rachel warned me about this. She was like, this first season of The Batch is going to be tough for you. It was tough for me to be invested week after week after week, especially when it paled in comparison to the drama that was happening outside of the show. The show seemed anticlimactic every week after a certain time.
Yeah.
But other than that, is we know that they're playing bubble basketball because like they're in one spot and they can't move around. And I think for me to be watching it for the first time, it really stood out to me.
Yeah, it stood out to me too. I mean, I was like, I miss they usually do a finale like over a cliff somewhere, like over the Mediterranean, some beautiful ocean. They've gone to Bora Bora in the past. Like it's been dope. And this is just like, we're stuck at Nemacolin. It's like snow is the only differentiator between the beginning of the season and the end of the season. P.S. End of the season was like mid to late November in Pennsylvania. I'm like, is it snowing already in Pennsylvania where it's sticking at that point? That's rough.
In November?
A long, very long winter.
I don't know very much about snow. I moved from Louisiana to California, so I'm not sure about the dynamics of snow.
It's exciting. It means the ground needs to be a certain cold for the snow to stick around, though. So I was surprised by that. But what do you think of John the Scorpio, having seen him outside of his music videos for the first time?
He's the best.
He seemed so uninterested in this experience. I loved it.
He's the best. I expected John the Scorpio to roll the blunt and smoke it right there. He's the best. I like Matt's mom as well. Matt's mom had that energy.
Yeah, like, she was like, "What are you doing, son?"
Matt's mom, told me a lot about Matt's mom. It all makes sense now. Okay. Matt's mom had that energy. She reminded me of my mom a little bit. She was like, this shit is a lot of bullshit. Like, I don't know, what are you doing? People fall in and out of love. This ain't love. This is some kind of weird thing. I loved it, but also John the Scorpio just kind of like, he seems like, because I've been critical of Matt because Matt hasn't been promoting John the Scorpio.
He's not a good brother. Honestly, Matt acts like he's an orphan. If you only know Matt from like his social media and the show, he acts like he has like literally no ties. Like he's just like, I don't know, straight out of the orphanage.
Right. And John the Scorpio got music that actually knocks. It's actually dope.
Check it out on YouTube, everybody.
Check out John the Scorpio's music. He's a big, good-looking fellow with music that actually knocks, and Matt's not supporting him. So I think John the Scorpio was getting his little shit off a little bit. Like it's just trying to and I'm glad that he was able to get out there. But that was my favorite part of the entire deal because that was an interaction that seemed genuine and real. And you get those in the show. Well, yeah, to me, yeah.
John seemed like he was reading lines. When he was talking to Michelle and to Rachel, it seemed like he was like reading off of cue cards. I'm just like, is this a Saturday Night Live sketch? Like, is there someone back there holding it up for him?
I see what you mean like that. But I think when I'm talking about more so is the family energy, the fact that they didn't seem like they were exactly with it all. And I don't know how the only thing I remember about this is we covered on TMZ when Jordan Rodgers brought the girl back and they left an empty seat for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I just thought that was so hilarious.
The Rodgers family is like super messed up. Oh my God. They've got mad issues.
We covered that on TMZ and I was like, yo, man, this producer needs to win an Emmy.
Well, the show used to be more fun and they could do shit like that. Like they could, you could have fun with the fact that this super famous quarterback's family that he does not speak to is on television right now. And like that used to be fun. This is like just an absolute exploitative slog. It's just like, fuck no, we're not having fun here. And we need to bring this fun back.
Right.
Because that was the other thing about Matt's mom. She seems like a lovely woman, but she also cried a lot, which is a hallmark of The Bachelor. We accept tears here. It's not a weakness, but it definitely was like, okay, his mom's just very emotional, and she's just sort of like being a mom. But for some reason, it wasn't fun tears. I wasn't like looking to make fun of Patty. I'm just like here to be like, good job, Patty. I hope you guys all make this through because it seems like Matt is really struggling. I don't know. It just was not fun.
Patty is both an amazing white mom name, like if black kid white mom. Patty is that's a A1 like white mom. Patty and Jennifer. For a lot of the biracial kids that I knew growing up, and I knew a ton, and shit, they got it worse than anyone growing up in the Deep South. Wow, and they would their moms would be like Patty or Jennifer, and they would have that little up swoop hairstyle. You know what I mean? And people yell at them at Piggly Wiggly because of their kids and stuff like that. But
is Piggly Wiggly a restaurant?
Wow.
I'm as northern as they come. As I've said on this podcast, I've lived in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, and that's it. What's Piggly Wiggly?
Piggly Wiggly is a supermarket.
Oh my God. I love supermarkets. Is it a good one?
No.
Oh.
It's not, but it's a staple.
Where would it fall in the hierarchy of supermarkets in Los Angeles? There's a clear hierarchy of supermarkets in Los Angeles.
Okay, so let's say we're going from John's to Pavilions or John to Gelson's?
John, I think Gelson's, but like Gelson's is so ridiculous. Gelson's, Erewhon, and Whole Foods not even in the conversation. Let's just knock them out.
So I would say that Piggly Wiggly is less than Vaughn's.
Okay.
Not John's.
Okay.
But less than Vaughn's. Now, it also depends because there are some Piggly Wigglies where you can go and you can get like dope ass cooked food.
I love a grocery store meal. Like honestly, like grocery store sushi, yes. Grocery store meatballs, chili, yes.
Yeah, so there's some Piggly Wigglies, but the Piggly Wiggly that we had that was near Gardner Lane on Burbank on Burbank right there wasn't the best Piggly Wiggly, but Piggly Wiggly is a southern supermarket chain. Yeah.
Gotcha. How does it compare to Publix, which I only know because both Victoria the Queen and Jameis Winston stole from the same location in Tallahassee?
Okay, Publix might as well be Spago compared to Piggly Wiggly. Publix might as well is not. No, Publix is something. They didn't even have Publix in Louisiana. Not when I was there. Not when I was living back home. But like they had, like I'd go to Florida and I'd visit Publix. But Publix is no. Publix is different.
Okay, noted.
Right.
Just know that's where the Victoria the Queen goes. One thing you don't know, but it happens frequently on the show, is that the Bachelor only chooses one woman. He makes both go through like this ridiculous proposal. So like one woman will come up to like the podium and she'll have to give the speech similar to how Rachael did and be like, Matt, I love you so much. From the moment you entered my life, everything was different. The world looked brighter. And I'm so excited to do the work with you. Like that's the kind of shit that they say. Luckily, they didn't force Michelle through that. I was so relieved that he broke up with her before the proposal, because very frequently The Bachelor does that to a woman and it's so cruel. And I just was like, thank God. I
still thought it was cruel. Like just watching somebody break up with someone on television. First of all, think about what we're watching. We're watching a man with multiple girlfriends.
Yeah.
Like break up with them on a television show in front of the whole nation. This is wild that we're doing this. It's like, think about it. This is like, Juliet, let's be real. It's wild.
Yeah, this is like my 39th trip around the Bachelor Sun. I'm like so dead inside as a result.
But I watched him do this. I watched him do that, break up with her when she actually looked like it hurt her feelings. Like she
was into him, dude. Michelle is genuine. She's genuine. She is like, seems like a nice, genuine person. I felt for her. Also, it was very obvious.
Oh,
I think he said I can't get there with you, which
can't
is a
get there with you.
Big Bachelor trope. I can't get there. I don't see us getting there.
Right. Whew.
She was really into him. She also seems like a way better hang than Rachael. I can't stand Rachael. I'm going to be honest. And is my opinion of her biased based on everything I know? Sure. But based on what I saw on the show last night, I was like, I have no interest in hanging out with this person. Hard pass. I just cannot. I find her like so, well, I guess I think she's immature, but moreover, I just feel like the way she lives her life, I would like, it's like we speak different languages. I'm just like, who are you? I cannot stand her. I don't think I would have liked her even if I didn't know about her old South photos and all the other stuff about her. I don't know. Did you like her? I mean, I felt sorry. I mean, I think
she was all right.
You can have empathy for somebody you don't like, right?
Yeah. I mean, she was all right. I don't think I liked her or disliked her. I think the people that I liked all got whacked quick. Not quick, but I liked Piper.
Me too. I'm a huge Piper fan.
Piper was my favorite. I liked Bree. I thought Bree was dope. Of course, Maggie. I thought was great.
Maggie seems great.
But yeah, Rachael just, and that was another thing. It seemed like the entire deal was almost like, it didn't seem like she warranted this much hubbub. She wasn't a terribly controversial or interesting character. She was just kind of there. Pretty girl, definitely cut from central casting, but I was kind of agnostic about her, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just need a break. The fact that we're going to get uninterrupted Bachelor content basically from May through December is just very overwhelming. I liked it better when we got breaks. Like they didn't used to have a season in the fall because they had Dancing with the Stars on Mondays. And now they're just like embracing it. And I don't know. No, thank you. Jazzy Collins, who used to be a casting producer for the show. She's been on this podcast. She has her own podcast now. So check it out. She had an article. There's an article about her in New York Post yesterday. Probably is in print today. If you happen to be reading it in print, I don't know who is. But anyway, she was saying that she just felt like everything about this is just like very like tokenism and just sort of like trying to like get out of the hot kitchen by being like, look, we have Black people on the show.
Yeah.
And it feels similar with Michelle. Like they had cast Katie, I believe, and then they just were in so much trouble. So they're like, let's do Michelle too, which is great because Michelle is awesome. But again, it just feels like they're going through motions.
Guys, I'm not stupid. It's like, guys, Really, seriously, I'm not stupid. I saw that last night. I'm like, oh, I thought everybody knew Katie was going to be a bachelorette. Now we're going to do Michelle too. I'm telling you, you know what? Forget about. I'm happy for Michelle. I like Michelle a lot, so I'm happy she's getting the show. But forget about. Don't beat around the bush. I got a new spinoff for you. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
The Bachelor: Race School. This is a spinoff to where some of the most we're talking Chris Harrison, Hannah B, all of the past bachelors that have stepped in this bachelors stepped in this a little bit. They all have to go somewhere and go to race school, and it's taught by, I don't know, Michelle Obama or something like that. I don't know.
Do not drag Michelle Obama into this mess. That's not fair.
That's probably a big get, right? And,
that's a big get. I do not want her involved. I'm sorry.
Right.
What about Meghan Markle? What about Meghan Markle?
That's perfect. That's so much better. See, that's why you're one of the big wigs. Like, that's perfect. That's so much better. Meghan Markle. And just, if you want to exploit it, just be direct about it. Bachelor, race school, Meghan Markle every single day, and you watch it. Or not even race school, because that's too aggressive. How about Bachelor, doing the work.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it. It's a good idea. They should actually have, like, in Paradise, like, some kind of, when they do Paradise, they should just go full self-aware and introduce, like, a doing the work corner. Or every episode has, like, a segment of, like, here's two people on the show, two white people from the show doing the work, and they're, like, reading with, like, a margarita in their hand. And it's just like, okay.
Well, here's the thing. Where do they normally do Bachelor in Paradise?
They do it in Sayulita, which is near it's in Mexico, near Puerto Vallarta.
Okay. So don't do it there. Okay. Do Bachelor, Making It Paradise. And do it in either Gary, Indiana, or Compton. And then they have to go there, and they have to stay in a hotel there, and they have to fix the community while finding love. Remember back in the Real World days where people kept hanging around the house and not doing shit? So the people
they got
in the
them
real
jobs.
World, they got them jobs. No one talks about that. What happened in the real world is that people would just hang around and not do shit. There were some people that didn't have jobs from where they're from, so they made them go get jobs.
Well, it's funny you bring this up. Last week on the show, I had Kyle Brandt on, and we talked about their job in the real world Chicago, which was, like, working at the Parks Department. But I actually think that's a really good point. It reflected a major shift in reality television, which is for the first few seasons, the people on the show didn't really know what they were doing. So they're just like, I'm moving to New York and I need extra money, so I'll be on the show or whatever, or I need a place to live. But then people were like, I just want to be on TV and be on the real world. Like, here's my audition tape. So they had to give them jobs to give them a purpose, because it was no longer like, I'm Eric Nees and I'm trying to be a model. I'm Heather B and I'm trying to be a rapper. Like, it was an important shift. This is a good idea, because this Bachelor has the same problem. They have all these people who come on trying to launch careers, and it's like, fine, you want to be an influencer? You also need to do construction. Let's see you fix up a cafe.
Exactly. Go down. I want to see the Bachelor in Paradise Watts. Go work at the Watts Coffee House, where they have great food, and help out in the community or something like that. Or how about this? Forget about all of that, because that's a joke. How about actually do something meaningful for people? You know, because you can actually, because here's the thing. I don't know if people know this. You can actually help.
Yeah, you also could help and not talk about it. You could help and not put on your Instagram.
You could help. You could actually help out.
Sure.
Forget about the show. You could actually help. But I'm glad Michelle got that. But once again, it's like, we see that. We see you. Like, so I don't know, man.
Michelle falls in the category of people I do not want to be the lead because their life seems very nice. I'm just like, you've got a job with students who love you. And I'm just like, I don't know, Michelle, do you need this? Like, it seems like you are great. Why are you doing this?
I'm happy for her. I think that her season is setting up something that they actively want now, which is, this is no shade to anyone, especially definitely not to the other leads, but a Bachelor season that ends up in a Black couple.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be like two Black kids on the wedding cake, two Black people on the wedding cake. I think the franchise probably feels like they need that, you know, or they want that, you know.
I think that's giving them a lot of credit. I don't know if I don't know if I agree with you that could be setting it up that way. I mean, I don't know enough about Michelle to say so, but I'm not sure the show has thought that far. I don't know that they think like 3 steps ahead because there's no evidence that they do. You know, I hope they do. I hope things will change. And you know, almost a year ago at this point, I really naively was like, the most important thing for the show to change is in casting. They need to have more representation. And that was like clearly wrong. Like casting is so not enough. So hopefully they are approaching these new seasons with different people behind the scenes and different producers who will bring a different perspective and life experience and race to this show.
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever happens, I hope it happens for the right reasons. I hope that things happen, and there's no such thing as allies looking down the barrel of a gun. You can't put a gun in somebody's back and make them want better for you. You just can't. It just breeds resentment, and resentment is not the way that we move forward. So everything that everybody is doing, I just sincerely hope that they want to do it. And that goes to show, look, I've said it before, I had a lot of fun with this in terms of being adjacent to the Bachelor Nation and stuff like that.
Being a batchy, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. But at the same time, you know, you see the growing pains that the show is going through, and you understand how people just want to watch the show and kind of zone out a little bit. When people would say, hey, I want my sports without all the politics, I would think, well, you don't get to dictate that. But at the same time, I understand the sentiment. I understand the sentiment of just wanting to watch the Lakers. Just want to get your mind off of it. I get it. Nobody understands it more than me. You think I don't want to get my mind off of it? But the reality is, it's not my reality. I can't get my mind off of it. So if we, hold hands and get through the slog of it and actually try to assure each other that we're trying to work together, then we can do that. But I don't think the show has done anything except try to protect the brand, which is the most American way to deal with the problem. The most American way to deal with the problem, this particular problem, is to go, we're going to do nothing but make sure we look good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, And by the way, that doesn't mean if they turn the corner and if there's nothing wrong, The Bachelor ain't canceled, man. Ain't nobody even thinking about canceling The Bachelor. You know how the problems we have? Nobody thinking about canceling The Bachelor. Nobody thinking about canceling Chris Harrison. I'm sure some people are, but the reality is Chris Harrison will be back.
I don't know. I'm not sure he will. I'm not positive.
All right. Well,
I don't think it's a lock. I'm not saying he won't be, but I do not think it's a lock based on how this went.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think he did anything to lose his job forever for. I think he stuck his privileged foot in his mouth. And he's saying, I don't think he did anything to lose his job forever for. I don't.
I think he should have a co-host. I've said this to Rachel. I think that he should not be like the only face of the franchise. And I don't even have another co-host in mind. But like, I want to get petty. Just allow me to get petty for 2 seconds. For a few seconds. First of all, Chris Harrison's dye job last night, his hair, it was glaring. It was super weird. I was just like, they can do better. Is this a problem? Is it because they're not in Los Angeles? They don't know how to do this? But I was just like, they made him look old in a weird way. I was just like, this is like adding insult to injury. I find this weird. He's never looked like this on the show before. And if I were him, I would deserve better. I would demand better. Number one.
So you didn't like that?
I don't even know if I liked it or didn't like it, but I was just like, this is weird. This is like, I've never really actually thought about like, are they dyeing Chris Harrison's hair before? And I did last night. So there's that. Number 2. Emmanuel Acho, his suit did not fit properly.
No, it's too small.
Is this a wedding dress situation where he had a fitting a few weeks ago and then like stuff changed? Like, women like dye it and then their wedding dress doesn't fit, or the other way around, whatever. I'm just like, Emmanuel Acho's outfit did not fit properly. And I think we could do better. In Los Angeles, we've got tailors. Let's do better.
I'm normally against biceps in a suit. I don't think I'm normally against suit biceps. I would get my suit because, I have bulging 24-inch pythons like Hulk Hogan. And so I would, it's just hard to contain my rockish frame. You know what I mean? But I work hard. I don't like biceps in the suit. It looks like You look like a cartoon supervillain.
Matt's suit fit so much better. So I'm like, I know that someone there can do this. Matt looked phenomenal. I loved his suit and his tie.
Matt is like a pretty, I'm not gonna lie, man. Matt's got that type of lean, efficient, look, I'm about to sound like this men's fitness now. That type of lean, but muscular, efficient, that's perfect. Like Matt
is a perfect physical specimen.
Like
I'm not even
gonna lie.
He works for it. I just want to say, I appreciate that we see that Matt fucking exercises constantly to look that way. I appreciate the honesty of not being like, look, just woke up like this. So thank you, Matt.
Right. So, but Emmanuel Acho is like is one of those guys you can see the outlines of his pecs in his suit. That's not the way it's supposed to. No, don't do that. And also, I love Emmanuel. I don't feel like he did the best job.
I thought he did a good job, honestly. Okay. I thought he did a good job. Right. Why don't you think he did a good job?
I thought it was, it wasn't even him, because he is a dynamite television personality.
He is, man. He pops off the screen.
Yeah, he's a dynamite television personality. I just think that wasn't
the role.
It wasn't a home game. That was an away game. And it felt like when he was playing in somebody else's gym.
Mm-hmm. But no one could have done better. No one. I think given the tough job, he crushed it. I think the only person that perhaps could have done better is Oprah. And
I'd maybe Pauly Shore.
Someone just totally ignorant. Pauly Shore as Encino Man, perhaps.
As Encino Man, maybe get the weasel in there and give him a shot at it. Maybe Pauly Shore.
I thought Acho, given everything, did a good job. I keep calling him Acho. Is it I don't know why. Maybe I should call him by his full name, like I do Matt James. Anyway, I will just say, also, like, knowing that it was 3 hours long, I'm very curious about like what else he did, and because they chose to include silences, which is awkward. That's a Bachelor move for the finale. They've done that before. But I thought he did a good job.
Okay.
Just given the difficulty of the role, and I mean, like, this is the first time in 39 seasons of The Bachelor plus Bachelorette where it's not been this one guy in that spot. So that's really hard to come in and do.
It is, man. And you know what? You've convinced me. I don't think it was him at all. I think it was actually the role itself.
Yeah, it's a shitty role. Yeah, it's like he's like being asked to be the janitor to like come in and clean up this mess. It's not his mess in any way.
Right.
But I thought he did a good job. Van, I truly love talking about this shit with you. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
No problem.
For more Van Lathan, check out Higher Learning. And hopefully you'll be back, even if you're not watching The Bachelor. I'm really into The Real World. Having Kyle on last week was like such a delight. And so I'm just going to be going back into the archive. So perhaps. Did you watch Real World New Orleans either time that they were there?
Come and be my baby tonight. I've seen the way you treated other thugs you've been with. Come on, be my baby tonight. Do you know you can't find it?
Yeah, I was going to say that's not online.
Why? Yo, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't have Paramount Plus yet.
I do.
Dude, does Paramount Plus have all the old rockin' jocks?
No. It's fucking upsetting.
No.
The challenge starts like season 12, and there's been like 35.
It's so crazy.
And they're missing. They have Real World seasons 1, 2, 3, and then 4 to 11 are gone. And 4 to 11 are the best seasons. So
why? What's wrong?
I think it must be a licensing issue with the music played on the show, but I'm not positive. I'll have to look. I'm going to look into it because it's an outrage, because that means we're missing, in order, I'm going to flex, London, Miami, Boston, Seattle, Hawaii, New Orleans, back to New York, Chicago. And those are all fire seasons.
The best seasons.
Yes, the best.
I don't know.
I'm pissed. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Back on Thursday with Wesley Morris, who watched like for the first time.
Brilliant man.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I'll flex again. He's a good friend. So I'm looking forward to it. Check out Van on Higher Learning. That's up already. And I'm sure he and Rachel will talk about the Bachelor finale on Friday. So check that out as well. And thanks so much for making it through this season. Matt James, hope you're doing okay. Wish nothing but the best for you. And Rachel, keep on doing that work.
Yeah, keep on doing the work, Rachel.